Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrives in Greece on a day-long visit, greeted by Indian diaspora. Former US President Donald Trump surrenders in Georgia election case as part of a wide-ranging criminal probe relating to his 2020 election defeat. Russian President Vladimir Putin sends condolences to the family of Yevgeny Prigozhin, describing the Wagner chief as a talented businessman. And at the World Badminton Championships, Indian duo of Satvik Sairaj Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty progressed to the quarterfinals. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived in Greece for a day-long visit. Prime Minister Modi will lay a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. Prime Minister is also scheduled to meet the Prime Minister of Greece and also hold talks with the Greek president. And after arrival at Athens, Indian Prime Minister reached Hotel Grand Britain. Also, people of Indian origin accorded a grand welcome to the Prime Minister. People from all walks of life came in large numbers to welcome Prime Minister Modi. A rousing welcome received by Prime Minister on his arrival in Athens in Greece, and this is evident from the large number of the people which in fact have gathered there, and in fact this is all the more important because this is the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Greece in 40 years. 4 decades is a long time, and Prime Minister makes his first visit to Greece. And spelling out more details, India's Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Arindam Bagchi outlined the schedule of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's day-long visit to Greece.
Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi has just arrived here from Johannesburg after attending the 15th BRICS Summit. A packed day of engagements lie ahead in Athens. He will little later lay a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. Thereafter, he will meet the President of Greece and then hold talks with the Prime Minister of Greece. He will also meet with business leaders from both sides. Before departing, he will have an interaction with the community who are all excited to receive him after the success of the Chandrayaan mission. All in all, a very productive day ahead.
Earlier, in an exclusive interview to DD India, Greek ambassador to India, Dimitrios Ioannou, highlighted the significance of Indian Prime Minister's visit to Greece.
Here outside the Greek Parliament, or also known as the Hellenic Parliament, and right outside the tomb of the unknown soldier, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi will lay a wreath in and pay tributes to the soldiers who have fallen on the line of their duty. With me is Ambassador Ioannou, who will be speaking to us on the significance of the visit. He is the Greek ambassador to India. Thank you so much, Ambassador, for talking to us. As we know, a prime ministerial visit from India is happening after 4 decades.
This is a long friendship going back millennia. But I would say that now is entering in an even higher stage. We are very happy to welcome Prime Minister Modi here in Greece.
We also know that there is going to be delegation level talks between both the prime ministers. What important subjects are going to be there on the agenda?
There is a series of agreements that they will be sound, that they cover all of the important fields. That is security, that is economy, that is culture, and technological exchanges and cooperation as well.
A lot of talk about cooperation in the security and defense sector.
Yes.
Anything that you would like to, say about it?
There have been these combined exercises of Greek and Indian Air Force in the Neokos exercise. That was a very important event, because I think it was the very first time that Indian Air Force has come to Europe to exercise along with a European country.
Both the prime ministers are meeting business leaders. So definitely there is emphasis on diversifying, expanding trade and investments.
This is the role that we aspire to play in our cooperation with India to become a gateway in many ways that can be done. In the first place, by using our ports in order to import your products in Europe.
Connectivity is one of the major challenges that we probably need to strengthen that sector. Talks on that expected between the leaders when there will be delegation?
Both countries will consider very important the green transition, let's say, so the renewable technologies, and given that India and Greece as well, they have made some progress.
Thank you so much, Ambassador, for talking to us. It was a pleasure to talk to you. So this is Meghna Dev for DD India with camera person Shailendra Chauhan from Athens, Greece.
All right, so those were updates and details of Prime Minister's visit to Greece, Athens. He will be holding a bilateral meeting with the leadership of Greece. We'll keep you updated. And now we'll turn focus to G20 presidency of India. Foreign delegates were in for a visual delight at the historic Amer Fort in the Jaipur city of India, playing to the tunes of Thar Desert, mixed with modern music to the delegates. The delegates, in fact, of G20 enjoyed the musical treat at the fort, which signifies the Rajput architecture and also grandeur of Kachwa dynasty. And now we take a quick look at other stories making it to the headlines. The 3-day B20 summit, India 2023, has begun in New Delhi. The trade ministers and business leaders from several countries are participating in the summit. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will attend the special session on the concluding day on Sunday. India's northeastern state of Assam has banned the sale, use and manufacturing and distribution of plastic water bottles of less than 1,000 ml capacity in the state. The move aims to protect and improve the environment. This ban will be applicable from October 2nd this year. The Indian state of Himachal Pradesh continues to reel under heavy rains. The Weather Department has issued a yellow alert on Friday. Heavy rains in the state have triggered landslides and damaged several properties. Rescue operations are underway. Time now for a short break, but still to come on DD India News Hour. Former US President Donald Trump's mugshot has been released after his arrest in the US state of Georgia. He has been released on bail. Japan's discharge of treated water from a nuclear plant into the ocean continues to upset its neighbors.
इतना कैश नहीं है।
कोई बात नहीं, हम यूपीआई भी लेते हैं।
मेरा पेमेंट ऐप अलग है।
कहीं जूते वापस मिलने की जगह जूते पड़ ना जाए। ऐप दूसरा हो या तीसरा, चाहिए बस यूपीआई। आपका मोबाइल नंबर ही बन सकता है आपका यूपीआई नंबर। और अब किसी भी पेमेंट ऐप से कोई भी पेमेंट ऐप पर यूपीआई चलेगा।
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs. With a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
20,000।
10।
ओके।
दोनों?
नो, 10 का 1।
इतना कैश नहीं है।
कोई बात नहीं, हम यूपीआई भी लेते हैं।
मेरा पेमेंट ऐप अलग है।
कहीं जूते वापस मिलने की जगह जूते पड़ ना जाए। ऐप दूसरा हो या तीसरा, चाहिए बस यूपीआई। आपका मोबाइल नंबर ही बन सकता है आपका यूपीआई नंबर। और अब किसी भी पेमेंट ऐप से कोई भी पेमेंट ऐप पर यूपीआई चलेगा।
Your name, Ina Krishnamurthy.
Yes.
It sounds so much like an Indian name.
My grandfather fascinated with Mahabharata, Ramayana stories, so he gave my father's name Krishnamurthy.
The handing over of the gavel by Indonesian President in Bali to Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Of course, it's a fascinating, memorable history.
What does Indonesia think is the biggest challenge in the Indo-Pacific?
We don't want this region to be part of any conflict, not unilateral actions.
How does Indonesia see the Quad partnership?
We see it as a plus.
Welcome back after the break. For the first time in history, a former US president has had his mugshot taken. Donald Trump surrendered on Thursday at a Georgia jail on charges of racketeering and conspiracy. Later, he posted a $200,000 bond and was released.
Donald Trump was charged on Thursday with more than a dozen felonies as part of complex criminal case arising from his efforts to overturn his Georgia loss in the 2020 presidential race. After his surrender, Trump was arrested and jail authorities took a mugshot of Trump. His mugshot was made public by Fulton County Jail after his arrest. Later, former president was released on bail. The $200,000 bond package includes standard provisions barring him from making direct or indirect threats against witnesses. Dozens of Trump supporters gathered outside the Atlanta jail. Before boarding his private plane after the booking, Trump repeated his claim that the various criminal cases against him are politically motivated.
I really believe this is a very sad day for America. This should never happen. If you challenge an election, you should be able to challenge an election. I thought the election was a rigged election, a stolen election. and I should have every right to do that. As you know, you have many people that you've been watching over the years do the same thing, whether it's Hillary Clinton or Stacey Abrams or many others. When you have that great freedom to challenge, you have to be able to, otherwise you could have very dishonest elections. What has taken place here is a travesty of justice. We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. And everybody knows it. I've never had such support. And that goes with the other ones, too. What they're doing is election interference. They're trying to interfere with an election. There's never been anything like it in our country before.
With Justice Department officials.
Fannie Willis, the Fulton County District Attorney who filed the sweeping racketeering case, had set a deadline of Friday for Trump and the other 18 defendants to surrender. Trump and 11 others have turned themselves in so far.
Trump has returned to social media site X, which is formerly known as Twitter, with a post on Thursday showing his mugshot from his booking earlier in the day. With his post, he appealed for donations.
Well, Donald Trump's mugshot is currently making its way around the world as we process this historic and unprecedented situation in the U.S. state of Georgia. And the next step for Trump and his 18 co-defendants is to actually be arraigned and enter a plea on these charges, and we expect that to happen likely the week after next. Now, the actual trial date is a bit unclear. The Fulton County District Attorney, Fannie Willis, had initially proposed a date of March 4th, which would actually be the day before Super Tuesday, which is the biggest day in the party's presidential nominating process. However, then one of Trump's co-defendants earlier asked for his trial date to be moved up to October 23rd. He has the right to request a speedy trial. So that was granted by the judge. The district attorney had initially wanted to charge Trump and the co-defendants at the same time. So we'll see how that plays out. Another option that could happen here is some of those co-defendants are trying to have the case moved to a federal court. So if that were to happen, and if Trump's case were to be moved, then the timeline from the state court would essentially become moot. Former U.S. president has shown a remarkable resilience to taking any sort of damage so far in the Republican nominating process from all of these legal entanglements. Back in February, before he was indicted for the first time, Trump was actually just leading Florida Governor Ron DeSantis in the Republican nomination poll by just a couple percentage points. Well, fast forward to the summer, where now Trump has been indicted 4 times on numerous felony charges, and Trump is actually leading the field by more than 40%. So these charges have clearly not hurt him in any meaningful way to try and achieve his party's nomination for the presidency. Now, certainly new details could come out as these legal cases proceed, but right now, at least the will of the Republican voters appears to be that they do support Trump despite all of these legal problems that he faces.
That was about the U.S. Now we turn focus to Asia, getting you updates from Japan. Japan's discharge of radioactive water into the Pacific Ocean continues to upset its neighbors. China has banned the import of seafood, and there have been protests in Hong Kong, a rare occurrence since Beijing cracked down on dissent in the city. Here's DD India's Andrew Wood's special report from Hong Kong.
Well, no matter what Tokyo says about the safety of the discharges of this radioactive water, nobody in the region, very few people in the region, seem to be prepared to accept Tokyo's assurances that the discharge is safe. Tokyo seems to be losing an awful lot of friends around the region by doing this. Here in Hong Kong, there were small protests close to the Japanese consulate. In South Korea, about 16 protesters tried to break into the Japanese embassy. We've seen China ban all imports of Japanese seafood and said that it was Japan was selfish and irresponsible by discharging this water. The ban here in Hong Kong actually came into effect before Japan actually started to release the water into the sea. Now, this is quite a big blow economically for Japan, because the mainland of China and Hong Kong are the two biggest markets for Japanese seafood and agricultural exports. Here in Hong Kong, for example, sales are usually around about $500 million a year of seafood, seaweed and other aquatic products. North Korea has weighed in as well. Now, there's not really a lot of love lost between North Korea and Japan, but North Korea was saying, well, this was a crime against humanity. So, no matter what the scientific evidence says, Tokyo has really failed to win over so many people around the region. That can't be good for its soft power. And yes, Japan is going to lose an awful lot of friends by doing this. In Hong Kong, I'm Andrew Wood reporting for DD India.
And from here we turn focus to Russia now. Russian President Vladimir Putin has sent his condolences to the family of Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin, breaking his silence after the mercenary leader's plane crashed, leaving no survivors 2 months after he led a mutiny against the Russian government.
As for the aviation tragedy, first of all, I want to express my sincerest condolences to the families of all the victims. It is always a tragedy. Indeed, if there were, and the primary data indicate that there were employees of the Wagner PMC, I would want to note that these people made a significant contribution to our common cause of fighting the neo-Nazi regime in Ukraine. We will remember this, we know it, and we will not forget it.
Also, flight operations at two major airports in the Russian capital Moscow were suspended early on Friday after reports of explosions. It comes after residents of the Russian regions of Tula and Kaluga reported hearing explosions in the night. Earlier this week, flights were briefly disrupted following alleged Ukrainian drone attacks. Ukraine has marked its 32nd Independence Day, with other nations recognizing the event. In Paris, the Eiffel Tower was lit up in the colors of Ukraine's national flag. Ukraine declared its independence from the Soviet Union back in 1991. The U.S. State Department imposed sanctions on 13 people and entities on Thursday. The United States said that the sanctioned entities were reportedly connected to the forced deportation and transfer of Ukraine's children. The State Department adds that the U.S. is also taking steps to impose visa restrictions on 3 Russia-installed purported authorities over their involvement in human rights abuses of Ukrainian minors. Ukraine's government estimates that the Russian authorities have deported over 19,500 children since the beginning of the Russia-Ukraine war.
Let's be clear. Russia has zero legitimate reason to suspend its participation in this arrangement. They would have you believe that sanctions have blocked their exports. That couldn't be further from the truth. They were exporting more grains than ever before and at higher prices. Russia is simply using the Black Sea as blackmail. It's playing political games. It's holding humanity hostage.
The United States top general Mark Milley says that Ukraine was likely to get F-16 fighter jets soon. He added that its counter-offensive against the Russian invasion has been going slowly and has had partial success. He also says that Ukrainian forces are being trained intensively in various parts of Europe. Earlier, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that he had received pledges from Denmark and the Netherlands to deliver F-16s.
That is moving forward, actually. So there's a training program in place, and they'll likely to receive F-16s here in the not too distant future. The Ukrainians have a significant amount of combat power remaining. This is not over yet. So I think it's frankly too early to say whether it succeeded or failed. It clearly has had partial success to date. Now, the speed at which the offensive is being undertaken is slower than the planners had thought.
Meanwhile, the United States will begin flight training for Ukrainian pilots on F-16 fighter jets in October. The Pentagon spokesman, Brigadier General Pat Ryder, says the training will begin in Arizona after the pilots receive English language training next month.
Defense is announcing today that the United States will soon begin training Ukrainians to fly and maintain F-16 fighter aircraft in support of the international effort to develop and strengthen Ukraine's long-term defenses. Following English language training for pilots in September, F-16 flying training is expected to begin in October at Morris Air National Guard Base in Tucson, Arizona, facilitated by the Air National Guard's 162nd Wing.
Getting you updates on the weather front now. In Italy, as a heat wave engulfed the Alpine glaciers, the Italian Environmental Organization displayed the ongoing Ruta. With an area of around 7.5 kilometers, the third largest glacier in Valle d'Aosta is increasingly threatened by the effects of climate change and has lost approximately 4 kilometers of surface area since 1865. Italy issued heat wave red alerts about emergency conditions. Greek firefighters continue to battle a blaze spreading outside Athens. It is one of the hundreds of wildfires currently ravaging the country, already killing at least 20 people. About 12 miles north of Athens, more than 200 firefighters alongside 65 vehicles, 2 planes and 5 helicopters battled the blaze over Mount Parnita. A wildfire that erupted on Tuesday has smothered the capital in smoke and ash, spreading to the town of Menidi, where about 150 people were evacuated from 3 nursing homes. The country's government has faced criticism for its response to the wildfires. One of the world's busiest shipping lanes, the Panama Canal, that links the Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans, is expected to extend restrictions on daily ship transit. The restrictions have been imposed amid a prolonged drought, shrinking the canal's water level. The restrictions have caused a huge backlog of ships waiting to pass through. Also, the restrictions have forced ship owners to lighten cargo or shift to alternative routes. This has caused freight costs to surge. Also, officials say the extension of the restrictions will give the canal room to conserve water ahead of the next rainy season. But the move is believed to cause major logjams. On to sports now. An Indian badminton duo has progressed to the quarter-final round at the World Championships. Satvik Sairaj Rankireddy and Chirag Shetty have beaten Leo Rolli and Daniel Martin 15-21, 21-19 and 9-21 to set up a next-round clash with Denmark's Kim Astrup and Anders Skarup. In men's singles, HS Pranoy is set to face Olympic champion Victor Axelsen in the quarter-finals. And throwing the first punch in a battle for the future of boxing, a tech startup is hoping to revolutionize the combat sports. Data gathered on performance analysis has the ability to potentially change the game for refereeing. Also, this is being done by using AI to automate the system. And ISRO has released a new video on how the Chandrayaan-3 rover ramped down from the lander to the lunar surface. Take a look. All right, with that, we end this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can also connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. Also, we will get you more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti signing off. And from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.